Man, we got a common enemy if we want to face it. These Mexican drug cartels dumping fentanyl in here, taking Mexicans, taking Americans, taking everybody, doing whatever they want to do. What are we going to do about it? Now, it's not like our politics doesn't have pressure already, right? Pressure is mounting on our Senate, trying to figure out what's happening, the Biden administration. Let's bring in Senator Joe Manchin and hit him with some hot button questions, see what he has to do to tell us. First of all, Senator, thank you for the time. I know it's a busy time. I know you're busy.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Hey, listen, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. First, the low fruit. They're coming at you again because you say you won't back Biden, and you're a Democrat. You're supposed to say you'll back Biden, but you've explained that to this audience before, that you got to see what happens, and you have some fundamental disagreements. When are you going to make a decision? Go ahead, Joe.
Chris, I'll make a decision by the end of the year. And the bottom line, only in America do you start campaigning 2 years in advance of an election.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. It prevents you from doing the job you got to do. Your segment, and I've been watching it, is unbelievable. And you're exactly correct. China is sending the raw products in. The cartel is basically processing it and basically poisoning our country. And what are we doing? You know, we should have basically, we've got special ops. We've got people who can take care of that. And the Mexican government's got to know, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it. We're not going to allow this to continue.
That is a very strong statement. I haven't been hearing a lot of that from sitting senators, let alone anybody in Congress. The seminal question is, do you believe, you said special operators, do you believe the use of military is warranted? And if so, does that mean that the cartels should be designated terrorist organizations to free up those resources?
What else definition would you have of terrorist? What better definition would you want? What better proof? We've got these drugs that are killing more Americans than any war we've ever been in. All of our wars combined has not killed as many people in America as in the last 10 to 20 years. What more proof do you need of that? And the bottom line is what I've said all along. There should be, Mexico should put a wall on their southern border. They can control what's coming through. You can't blame it on all the other South American countries, and basically control that flow. And then let us take care of what's going on in Mexico if they won't do it.
Well, that's the big problem. But first, you need the will on our side. I don't think you're a wall away from any kind of problem, because they come over too many different ways, and the cartels just have too much power and too much access right now. But where is the will on our side? I saw, the AG talking to Senator Cornyn there in one of the hearings, but nobody ever talks about that. They're talking about January 6th. They're talking about all this other stuff. Where is the will? I mean, what needs to happen for you and some Republican senator to, get on a bill and say, hey, we got to take a vote on this right now. Are they a terror organization? Should we use the military? Here's what we need to do. Where's the urgency? What's killing us more?
Well, you know what? I'll just use this in reference. They asked me about 2 weeks ago about the D.C. crime bill. I never had to think 2 seconds. I said, absolutely, I'll support a ban on that. I mean, that's ridiculous. We're not going to let hardened criminals out, people, violent crimes. It's not who we are as Americans. It's not who we are as West Virginians. I can't explain that back home. I didn't have to wait until see someone telling me I could do this or that. I work for the people in West Virginia, and I take an oath to this country. The bottom line is we're being attacked by so many fronts right now, but we're allowing it to happen. And we know where the ingredients is coming from, China. We know that. And we know where the processing is being done. We know exactly the source and the processing and the distribution. And you're telling me we can't declare war on that?
Well, I'm just telling you that you haven't. And it's mind-boggling, because it seems like politicians in this country are making up wars all the time. And I'm not just talking about going abroad. I'm saying here, whether it's cancel culture or whatever it is that's going on in the moment now, January 6th, we're like making up stuff to fight about when you have a real monster right across the border, and it's not the migrants. Takes me to the real problem that you're facing right now with the debt ceiling. That you do have to get done. Yeah. It can't be brinksmanship. It could pop the unemployment rate. Do you think a debt deal gets done on the ceiling?
I sure do. It has to get done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We can't fail on that, and we can't let it be held as hostage either. But on the other hand, we deserve to be able to give our constituents the cause of this runaway debt. We're at 31.4 trillion. We've accumulated more debt in the last 10 years, any time in history, than any time in history of the United States. That rapidly, that fast. 2013, we were spending $3.2 trillion a year. 3.5, I'm sorry, 3.5 trillion. We're now spending $6.2 trillion a year. We're now 31 trillion, $500 billion of public debt. That breaks down to about $94,000 per person. For every living person in America, every citizen, that's about a $94,000 obligation that we would have. I mean, when you break it down, $600 billion this year in interest payments alone. If we do nothing by 2050, the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, says we will have $130 trillion of debt. We'll be spending $5 trillion a year, Chris, just on interest payments.
No, I hear it, but
we will
again,
not be able to maintain.
My problem is
you got to make changes.
I'm with you, but nobody's getting elected on that right now because it's all about finger pointing to each other. I just see these cartels as such a thing that could bring people together because everybody's affected the same way. Everybody should be seeing it the same way. One last question for you. I don't care if you're going to back Biden or not. That's your choice. I don't disagree with your rationale because I don't like the team play in politics. But when are you going to decide if you're going to run for president?
My political decision we made at the end of the year. What I'm going to do if I, what political position, if I seek any, what it'll be. How can I help my country? I have one goal and one goal only. How do I help my country be more united? How do I enable them to come to pick priorities, to build a coalition basically on what our priorities are? And like I say, this scourge on America, this fentanyl scourge that we have going on, and the killing. I saw that segment, that 19-month-old baby.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. What do you say? What would you say to the parents?
So you're going to do something about it, and you put together people with like minds and money and direction, and you get after it, and it could win you an election. But Senator Manchin, I promise you this: I will not ask you about running again until the end of the year. I promise that.
End of the year, buddy. That's what we'll know. Right now, let me just tell you, with what we have, with the debt ceiling facing us, we have geopolitical unrest around the world. We have a lack of energy security, which we are trying. That was why I wrote and passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It's energy security, using all of our fossil fuel cleaner than anywhere in the world, replacing the dirtier fuels. We're using more fossil in demand around the world. To think the United States can switch before we're basically able to do the job that fossil does, but we can also invest in the clean technology for the future. That's what we're doing, but people are resisting that too. So you've got to have leadership. We've got to fight all those things. But if it's going to be all about the next election, I'll guarantee you, you don't have the time, the effort, or the stamina in order to do it. I'm going to do my job, and whatever happens in the political future, so be it.
I'll be here for it. Senator Manchin, thank you very much. Good luck with your job.
Thanks,
we'll be right back.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.